Good afternoon, everyone out there in YouTube land. My name is Jared, and this is my channel, Monster P3K. This is going to be a 5-minute fix video on how to remove and replace the Downstream O2 sensor on your 1997 Ford E-150 Econoline with the 5.4 liter 8-cylinder Triton engine. Without further ado, let's get started. Alright folks, there are two parts that are at least made by Bosch that will go in here. There's 15717, which is what I have, and then there's an alt part, I think, that has a longer or shorter pigtail. I don't remember its number, but just be aware that it's out there. So this is what we need, and now we got to get under the vehicle and go get this thing installed. So if you're on the outside, on the passenger side, you're going to want to get kind of down under the secondary side door, because that's where your downstream sensor is going to be located. So I'll grab some tooling and we'll get down to it. Alright folks, we're under the vehicle. The O2 sensor is right here. We are just a little bit downstream of the catalytic converter. That's over my left shoulder, which is towards the front of the vehicle. And then over my right shoulder, towards the back, that's the beginning of the muffler. So we're right in the teeth of it. So the actual electrical connector is right there. So you can pop that loose. You should be able to pull it out between this heat shield and the frame rail. It still has undercoating on it, which is kind of cool. And pull it down, get it loose. And if you get it loose, that gives you more options on getting the actual sensor out, because our sensor's here, and it's going to be a 22 millimeter or a 7/8. I've got a couple different things here. This is my O2 sensor socket. It's a 7/8. These can work. You can use a traditional 7/8 if you don't care about destroying this and you cut the wires at the tip. Oh man, did somebody try to work on this? No, that looks okay. You can also come after it with a wrench. Like I said, a 22 or a 7/8. I do not have a 7/8. Supposed to have a 22, but that ran away. So I have a crescent wrench, which is generally a really horrible bad idea, so don't do this. Go get a 7/8 or a 22. So anyway, once I get these wires loose, I'm going to try my O2 sensor socket. The problem that you can see here, you may not be able to see, is you're going to have clearance issues depending on the tool you pick. So it's kind of like a pick your poison. Just kind of see what you get out of it. You see from back here, you can actually see the connector. You may be able to use your fingers and kind of feel it without having to pop it loose, but I'm going to pop it loose just to make my life easier. So there we go. Got it disconnected. It's one of those you pull down on the very tip and then you pull it apart. You see it's got a guide right there. That guide's supposed to go in this hole, so keep that in mind. Alright, now comes the fun part. We're going to try to get this out. Word of warning, this is part of your exhaust system, and anything involving exhaust generally gets really nasty because of the heat cycles. It becomes very difficult to remove. And then if you throw rust in the mix, it's even worse. So hit this with heat if you need to. Hit this with penetrating oil if you need to. This whatever you got to do. Try to get a breaker bar down here. Whatever you need to do to get this thing loose, because generally they're kind of tight. Zoom out here. Okay. So this is my setup that worked. Got a 7/8 wrench, put the box end on it, and it didn't want to go, so then I grabbed my 3-pound hammer and I convinced it to go. And so now it's loose, so we'll get the new one screwed in and that'll be that. Now notice I did have to cut the wires to get the wrench on there, so at that point you're committed. I checked that the new sensor had about the same length of pigtail and that it was a 4-wire and all that good stuff. So I'm feeling pretty good that the replacement is the correct part before I cut those wires. So anyway, take this one off, put the new one on, connect it, get it back in the frame rail, and that's that. One last thing to note when you're putting this guy in, I wound up having to use a crescent wrench because, hey, I don't have, oh, I'm dumb. I do have a 20, I have a 7/8 I could use, guys. How about that? Duh. Anyway, you want to get it reasonably tight so you don't have an exhaust leak, but you don't want to kill it, because over time this is going to go through heat cycles, it's going to rust, it's going to get real hard to remove. Most of them these days come with anti-seize on the tip to help keep them from locking up so you can get them back out. If yours did not come with anti-seize, I strongly suggest you put some on there. It's not expensive, and it can save you a lot of pain and suffering down the road. Or save the next guy a bunch of pain and suffering whenever this thing conks out and you need a new one. Alrighty guys, that's going to do it for this 5-minute fix video where we replaced the Downstream O2 sensor in my 1997 Ford E-150, nicknamed E. If you found this video useful, if it was informational, if it was entertaining, please like, share, and subscribe. That helps to grow the channel, which allows me to bring more content to you. Please also leave a comment. I like to read them, I like to reply to them, and I like to learn from them. And lastly guys, I make the mistakes so you don't have to. I'll catch you guys next time.